Hi, I'm JD, and this is Phyllis, and we are here now with JD. And we have created a space to relax, connect, and gain some insight. So, over the last, I'd say, week, Phyllis and I have been having regular conversations about kind of all the weird stuff that's going on in the world right now. And I thought it would be a really good idea for us to put something together to share this information on a larger scale and pull some other people in, people that specialize in different areas, such as mental health, somatic work. What else, Phyllis?
Like education. Some people in the education fields, all the kids are out of school and trying to homeschool now, and so maybe how to navigate some of that.
Yeah, the medical field, like there's a lot going on in the world right now, and we all have different perspectives on it and this wealth of knowledge. And I wanted to be able to share this with all of you. So, welcome. So, let's see. This is all new to us, so bear with us and be kind.
Please be gentle.
Yeah, exactly. So this week, Phyllis and I have had quite a few conversations regarding the shock, the total shock of what is going on in our world right now. And, we've been discussing what that looks like. Some people are saying, oh, I'm traumatized or I'm stressed, but truly, I believe we're all in shock. The rug has been pulled out from underneath of us. Wouldn't you agree, Phyllis?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think they look completely different. I think sometimes we overlook shock and we just say, oh, I'm stressed, or this is so stressful, when really we might be in a shock state. Eventually that will turn into stress, but that initial reaction to what's going on. What I think is so interesting is how long it's lasting for me. I don't know what that looks like for you, but it's been 2 weeks now since school closed down and we've pretty much been in our house. And I still find myself like not being able to collect my thoughts, and time has no meaning. All of a sudden it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm
Mm-hmm.
in a shock state.
Yeah, no, I agree. Have yet to find a new sense of normal or a schedule. I go to bed late. I don't sleep very well. I don't even know what time I've been getting up in the morning. I forget to eat. I cannot remember where I put my coffee. By the end of the day, I literally have 6 cups of coffee sitting around the house because I don't remember pouring it or warming one up in the microwave. I just, it's these lapses in time.
Yeah, absolutely. I've done that in the morning. I have to take my in a couple of mornings. I have to think, did I take that? Do I need to go take that? Like I, it's such a habit. I just do it anyway that I'm not really thinking about it. And then in this shock state, I really don't even notice that I've done it. Sometimes you'll get to about noon and think, what did I do all morning? Even though I'm
Right,
feeding kids and letting the dog out and working a little bit and doing all those things, I think, what have I accomplished today? So yeah, definitely.
right, right. How do you, so when you talk about shock, I had mentioned shock and trauma and stress. Can you explain to me the difference between those a little bit?
Yeah, so shock is it's more of a quick reaction of the body. So
Mm-hmm.
immediately you think the body, think of the body and how it's going to protect itself. So all the blood goes to
Okay.
organs, your skin
Okay.
a little whitish, a little clammy. Your prefrontal cortex, the thinking part of your brain that says, I have goals, I'm going to get things done. It's very task and time oriented. That kind of shuts off and you go back into the limbic brain and the
Yeah.
survival mode, right?
So, and then I can relate to that. The day before I found out that all 3 of my kids were coming home for a very long time, and I was going to homeschool, which, I am not a teacher. I am not equipped for that. They're amazing what teachers do, by the way.
Yeah.
So I stayed up all night thinking in my head, okay, I'm going to have this plan. and we're going to have this schedule, and we're going to wake up, and we're going to do X, Y, Z, and we're going to stay on this schedule.
Yeah.
No.
It's so well-meaning, but yeah.
No. Homeschooling has turned into unschooling, turned into maybe thinking about it. Like, I've written a few things on my chalkboard, and my 6-year-old draws pictures all over it, and I feed and water them, and we're good. That's what we got right now.
Yep, absolutely. It's hard, and schools are in a really tough place because I know they have to keep up with things, but I don't even know where to start, kind of. And I guess we just do have to start with all of that. But I think it's important. There's no judgment right now, not on what you get done, what you don't get done.
Right.
How it looks. We're all doing the best we can. And I absolutely agree. I love teachers. I defend them when people they have summers off. I'm like, you guys have no idea what I think everybody's learning. It's a very difficult job. It's a full-time job, and a lot of parents are trying to figure that out while also working their own job from home.
Yeah.
So to gone from having our own space and our own thing that we do all day to now really trying to juggle 2 big jobs at once.
Right.
That's and our kids are in that state too. They don't really understand, and they don't understand mortgages and car payments and all of those things that we're worried about, but they feed off our energy. They know that we're worried and confused, and also wondering, what is this? And I'm not going back to school, and why can't I just go to the neighbor's house? Why can't I just I've heard that from my own kids. So
constantly.
Yeah.
So back to shock, right? So how would someone know that they're in shock? Like, some of the signs, I want to get back to that. You were saying the clammy and the reasoning part. Like, what else could we look for and be mindful of?
Yeah, I think sleep changes, dietary changes. Some people, because the body's trying to self-soothe itself in a lot of ways. So you might be tired and sleep a lot during the day. You might be awake. Your body's on alert trying to soothe itself so you can't sleep.
Yeah.
Food is very comforting for others. Food, especially overfed, does not feel good.
Yeah.
You said going all day forgetting to eat. That's very important for you to know and to note. I think anything that looks different from your norm. If you don't normally go till 3 o'clock without being like, oh, I'm hungry, then that's a signal to you that your body is in this kind of state of not knowing what to do, shock.
Yeah.
That, let's see, a lot of people, again, the body's trying to self-soothe. So we might go back to habits that feel good. Substance abuse, I know, can pick these times. And all of the things that come with that. Time, this is the biggest one for me, is time really just doesn't have the same meaning. I have conversations and it's been like 2 hours. We're not can't even talk on the phone.
I mean, I think we spent like 3 hours yesterday.
It was so fun. Well, I'm looking back to even what I accomplished in a day a month ago, I'm like, wow, I was like amazing a month ago. What is going on? I can barely like feed my kids, get dressed, and do a couple hours of work.
Right.
Go all the time. So I think that's really important to note. Also, forgetting things. I like words. I'll forget words mid-sentence. I can't pull it up. I'll see a sandwich, but I don't have access to that. Do you know?
It's thingamajig, and I don't know.
Yeah. Just stuff like that. It's just an overall feeling of being overly aware or heightened or anxious.
Yeah.
And you really feel it in your body. And I encourage anyone listening to just close their eyes for a second. And where are you noticing this nervous energy in your body?
I'm doing that right now.
Oh, I'm doing it now. Well, immediately I feel it right in my ribs, like right my diaphragm is. It's like that nervous, like before a big test.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. I noticed that. So with that, wait, I want to go back. So you had said that you were finding that it's just extended, like you were surprised by how long you've been in this state. And
Yeah.
when you said that, like, I was like, I wonder, am I feeling that way too? And I am. And I think some of that is because it's not just like one thing and then it's over and we have time to settle into something else. It's everything, like the information is staggered and it's like trickling in, and
Yes.
then it's coming from everywhere, every day, all day,
Yeah.
and I'm
Absolutely.
wondering, like, what are some things that we can do during this time, because it's not going to stop right now and we don't
Right.
have control over that. What are some things, like you said, besides checking in with ourselves, which is so important, but actual steps,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Yeah, I think it's important to limit the exposure that we have to it, because if you watch the TV all day, anytime there's breaking news, there's more information, new information. We're getting local
Yeah.
state information, national news, and worldwide news. We're
Hmm.
getting, breaking updates on Italy and Spain and India and all of those places. And so maybe just limiting, controlling the time and the ways in which you get that information. So I was talking to someone who said that they really like the local news because they get locally what's happening for them, and that they
Hmm.
also, local news is pulling in big international news. So every night at 10 o'clock, you turn the news on. When that news program is over, it goes off, so that
Hmm.
you're staying informed. And really, that's the trick, is how do we stay informed? Right now, you have to be informed. You have to know.
Right.
It's changing so fast. But how do you balance that with overexposure and completely putting yourself into shock and trauma again every time you watch the news? So,
Yeah. Like
you know,
flooding yourself. I feel flooded sometimes. And like I
absolutely.
can't catch my breath and I don't know if I want to cry or run, or, after like 15 minutes of like all these things coming at me.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. So I think just controlling, especially social media. You and I had kind of talked about this, that there are some, thank goodness for the internet nerds who sit around and make these memes for us. They're so good.
I know, I love them.
They're so good. And I like them. But you said something that really struck me, is that even though it's a joke and it's funny, it's still, we joke about serious things and underlying, like, we're being quarantined for 6 months, just even things that are funny still have this underlying like nervousness to them. So even
Yeah.
social media, just maybe set, I'm going to be on Facebook for an hour today.
Right.
Also important, even if you check out of the news and social media, the things that you're watching, it's not a time to catch up on The Walking Dead right now. It's, you know what I mean? Like violent cops. My husband the other night was like, hey, let's watch Live PD. And I was like, no, like anything stressful,
Yes.
anything stressful, or that media is meant to give us a feeling. Scary movies, people like, because we like to be scared and have that adrenaline rush. So
Hmm.
it gives you that kind of feeling, I would avoid right now. Now's the time for like Top Chef,
Yes.
Project,
Sugar rush.
Sugar Rush.
You
Yeah,
can eat your COVID donuts.
yeah, yeah. COVID donut the other day. That's the bad thing. We've been watching a lot of like cooking shows and baking, and then we just want to make everything and eat it. But
Yeah.
comfort. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I'm making a flourless tort tonight, and I don't
Ooh,
bake because with baking you have those rules you have to follow. And
yeah.
when somebody tells me, hey, you need XYZ, I'm
Yeah.
like, ah!
I don't.
No, I
Watch me.
don't. Watch this. But I have yet to have something I bake turn out well. So tonight, I'm going to follow the rules.
Good for you.
I
Seem like a
know. I
girl. That's
know. I'm out here trying to be
thank
my
you.
best self.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think good. There's a term called emotional contagion, and maybe we can do a whole segment on that. But basically,
Yeah.
is emotions can catch in a group. And everyone's probably experienced that if you've ever been in a room and someone's angry and, you know, just start saying things, that anger and that anxiety pretty much will spread to the room. And so this idea of emotional contagion, how you're feeling can spread to other people, and how they're feeling can also spread to you. So anything you watch, people that you're around.
Yes.
If you have a sister-in-law that's so scared and worried, and every time you talk, you know that you're going to get just nervous energy, maybe for you put that on hold.
Right. No, I agree. And just, you know, the energy in the world right now is, it's all over the place. You know, it's so hectic, weird. I know I keep saying weird, but I don't have a real like name for it right now.
Yeah.
You know, and it just is, I don't know. I feel like, you know, and I've thought about this, like, how do I feel, like the energy in the world? And it's like we're on fire and drowning at the same time.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes.
You know, if you just imagine that, and it's just, you get caught up in it.
Yeah.
You know, and I have to be mindful to step outside of that and not necessarily isolate, but in a way isolate and pull some positive, loving energy in, because that's there as well.
Yes.
You know, like we were talking, like humans, we're amazing. And I truly do believe that we are all doing the best that we can right now. And I have to believe that. You know,
Yes.
that gives me hope, and that also like allows me to have grace for others and for myself during this time. Because this is hard.
Yeah.
This is
Yes.
really hard.
Yeah. And I myself doing that as well. Like, I'm getting irrationally angry at people who aren't following the rules right
Yes.
now.
Yes.
That, but and it's for a lot of reasons, and maybe it's because that's what I can control. But then that's a good reminder, JD, to just say everybody's doing the best that they can, and I have no idea why those people are walking 10 people at a time right now.
We
I,
don't know. You
oh,
know, we don't. And I was having a conversation with someone actually this morning, and they were questioning, like, you know, how serious do we need to take this? And we only live once. And yes, that's true. And I don't believe that we, you know, have to live in this state of fear and terror. But I also believe that we need to be mindful and careful and cautious. Um, but, you know, as we talked through it, they had this realization that they couldn't take it serious because it was so scary to them. It was
wow.
so scary to them, and every time, like, they'd like peek over the edge or dip their toe into, you know, the magnitude of what we're experiencing in the world, they just like, it took their breath away. You know,
Wow.
so they just like, you know, like disassociated. That's what's happening.
Yeah.
You know, that's what's happening. I have to believe that.
Yeah, that's, gosh, wow, that's a big point, that it's a coping strategy for some people too. I don't see what's going on. I'm going to look away, put my
Yeah.
head, not happening. It's
Head
not
in the
happening.
sand. I la 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 la. You know.
Yes, yeah, which you can see.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah. So I don't know.
good. Well, I wanted to talk about maybe some ways to exit the shock state and some of the things that you can do. Um,
Yeah. Perfect.
Look down and read. One of them is avoid analysis. We maybe kind of talked about that a little bit with the news. That's when you try to overthink things, because your rational brain is not thinking. If you know, so you don't want to. I think get to a place where your emotions are thinking for you.
Right. So would you say, like, I always like to like give some visuals, you know, in like the shock, are we like at this point, are we like in our I'll go back to like teaching, working in the schools, like our lizard brain, you know, the midbrain. Is that where we're at?
I believe the midbrain and the lizard brain, reptilian brain are different. The limbic, I think, is the middle
So
brain. Everybody watching, go look that up.
is it the amygdala?
The amygdala is the emotional processing center of the brain.
Okay.
So I think it's the brain stem. The brain stem is the brain, and that is the first part of our brain that evolved, and then the
Right.
mid, and then the forebrain. If
Okay.
surgeon listening, I apologize. I do more in feelings.
Are we running from tigers right now? Is that what we're feeling like?
Bears, yes, yeah. So
Okay.
in this shock state, you have to be careful because this is a very reactionary state. If
Yep.
I'm afraid, I'm going to lash out. You know?
Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah. So what you want to do is reorient yourself to your body. You want to get back into your body. Mindfulness is a great thing you can do. Deep breathing, things like yoga. It's hard to get out right now, but if you search YouTube, there are literally thousands. I bet even now someone's put out a COVID yoga video.
I did on my website and my the altitude counseling Facebook site. It's COVID yoga.
COVID yoga. Quarantine.
Namaste.
Yeah, exactly. So you can, even though we're or not isolated, but being separated from one another right now,
Yeah.
online, search for things. There is a ton of information and resources there. So anything that gets you back into the body, deep breathing, a really nice bubble bath, and then put low, experience your skin, what it feels like to touch yourself.
Right.
Do cold. That's one thing with the shock state. I have been really, really cold in my house, like the socks and my fireplace on. So yeah, anything that can kind of meet the body's needs to calm it down.
Okay.
Let's see, express feelings, not in a reactionary way, but this is, when something big happens and you want to call like all 12 of your people and tell them the story, and you tell it the exact same way every time.
Over and over and over again.
Yeah, you're in a shock state, but that's
Yes.
actually really, really important to do. So call your people. Yeah,
Okay.
you want to get those feelings out. It's kind of like a bottle of pop that you shake up, and what is that? The effervescence. See, I can't remember words.
Right.
That gets out.
Bubbles.
Yeah, talk about it. It may even say, listen, I'm just going to say this. My emotions may be way off track, but this is what's going on. And so talk through those feelings. Use nurturing, comforting, and protective language. I love that because listen, I've been comfort eating like so much, and then I beat myself up.
Yeah.
I'm going to do keto, and I'm going to intermittent fast, and I'm going to do all these things, and I'm putting all of this shame and guilt on a very action of my body. And so be loving and kind to your body, whatever your body needs.
Okay. I think that's good. Yeah, I think that's really important, especially, just connecting, right? Sharing what we're going through. So this is kind of a segue, but we can tie it back together. Yesterday, one of the local news stations had reached out to me and wanted me to do, or they were doing a piece on the social distancing and how there's a negative impact on our emotional health. And, you and I had that conversation of, well, not necessarily, it's perspective. So we are, encouraged to do this social distancing. And I think people automatically jump to isolation.
Yeah.
And that distance and isolation, like that's not the same thing.
Right. Absolutely.
We don't have to isolate ourselves. We have so many avenues where we can reach out and connect with the people around us. We can keep our distance to 6 feet or 10 feet. Is it 6 feet now?
Yeah. 6 feet.
Yeah. not enclosed, not being an enclosed space, but
Yeah,
really making that effort and being mindful of those moments of connecting with the people that matter to us. And there's ways to do that.
absolutely. And I love all the creativity of people in hearing things. Well, just watching my own kids, they're FaceTiming cousins and playing games,
Yeah.
getting online, playing games. Um, just like a lady in our cul-de-sac teaches yoga, and so she texts all the neighbors. Well, first we set up a text chain of neighbors in the cul-de-sac, and if you need anything, my husband works here and he has to go every day, so if you need milk, let me know, we'll get it.
Mm-hmm.
Hurt, let us know. So we set up an emergency chain of neighbors, which I think is good for anyone.
Yeah.
But my neighbor teaches yoga, and so when bless you,
Pussy. Ah.
your elbow.
I did it. Okay.
But we're all gonna go out on the lawn. We can go out on our front lawn, the whole family, whoever wants to, and she's gonna really loudly lead yoga. I know a group of teachers that are gonna pour a drink once a week and have happy hour for things,
Yes.
just some really fun things. I saw in the news too, and of course I was just like crying like a tiny baby, but a young girl, I think she was about 13 or 14 looked like, and she was coming home from the hospital from her treatments of cancer, and her
Mm.
all went out to their driveway and made signs for her, and she drove down the street and they were all cheering her and she was crying. And
Oh.
ways, I think we might even be able to connect in a better way than we did before.
That's something that I, over the last few days have been thinking about and really paying attention to, just looking in my neighborhood and the people in my immediate circle. We've been connecting more, not necessarily in person, but this way. I've been doing this quite a bit with friends. With my neighbors, we go out and walk. I mean, we go on the opposite side of the street, but we make eye contact and we're connecting on this thing, like we are all in this together. And there's almost a beauty in that,
Yes.
that depth of connection. And it's brings us closer, like we're all grasping together and holding each other up in this. And there's,
Yeah, I agree.
yeah,
Even my family, I'm trying to think when the last time my husband, kids, and I have had weeks to just
no,
be together. And and sometimes it's not like we're engaging like the whole time, but they're with me. And in the beginning, when all this was going on, I thought, oh my goodness, every lady probably watching this is gonna relate to this. But I thought, oh, I'm gonna clean out my pantry and I'm gonna have my bathroom. And for me, I was gonna repaint my basement that I've been wanting
mm-hmm.
to leave 5 years. So I was like, oh my gosh, I got to go right now to Ace Hardware and buy 4 gallons of paint and all this stuff. And I just thought, no, I'm not going to do that right now. That stresses me out. And
Yes,
life will return to its normal hectic pace. And I know I will have wished I just snuggled my kids for a minute.
yeah, yeah, and just, slow down. And I think something I've heard from a lot of people too, and this is for me, just even leading into what's going on right now, we're addicted to being so busy. And
Yeah.
that's where we gain our sense of worth as well. Like I do this, I accomplish this, therefore this is who I am, I'm good enough. And now it's all like a screeching halt. And it's taking a while to adjust.
Yeah.
But I feel like it can be a good thing for us. Not
Yeah.
to minimize the severity of what's going on. I in no way am trying to silver line it. I mean, it is hard. And, there can be some positive things that come from this. So,
Yeah, I remember this makes me think of a conversation we had with a colleague that they said they had gotten outside in nature and walked, and how good of a reminder it was that things in life are cyclical, that we have circadian rhythms to our body. There's things, night comes and goes, hunger
mm-hmm.
come and go, breath comes in and out,
Mm.
fall than winter than spring. This too will pass, and we will have times of plenty again. Right now,
Yes.
difficult cycle of life are, and not to minimize it, like you say, but to remember that this will pass. This isn't forever, and
Mm-hmm.
we get through it. We'll be able to look back on how we got through it and reflect on how we handle things. It's a good
Right.
learning.
It is. It is. Um, I think it's important that we look for the learning opportunities through this.
Yeah.
What can we take away from this, and what insight can we gain from all of this and from each other?
Yes. Which is why I love that you're doing this meeting.
Thank you. And I'm so glad that you're doing this with me. I'm really
Yeah.
excited about, what's to come and the people that are interested in joining us on this.
Yes.
So thank you for coming.
You're welcome. Thank you
All
for
right.
having me.
Bye, everybody.
Wash your hands. Be safe.